and my job really was to come in at the start of a project where we needed to identify the key problems that needed to be solved, like where the bottlenecks were. How would we actually do this? How would we improve the digital environment or the ecosystem that sits around a business? And we were really fortunate, really, as a business to kind of get ushered into the AI world really early on. So we're talking maybe like 10 years ago now, we were designing for AI. And this is, long before obviously things like ChatGPT released and it kind of hit the mass market. But that really kind of set me up to be able to, I guess, really help people in this time, or like, to find how my previous experience could be, kind of, deployed out to people so that they could understand things and they could move faster.
Welcome back to Founders in the Field, the show where I go behind the scenes with agency leaders, consultants, and creative founders to show you how they're building, scaling, and staying sane in the trenches. I'm your host, Stefan Bradley, and today's guest is Thomas Gamblin, the founder of the Scalable Creative. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, good, thanks, Stefan. Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's
No,
uh
no
it's good
problem.
to finally get you. And we've been trying to find the time, but you've been busy getting married and all sorts of things. So yeah. So it's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. Let's dive straight into question one. For people who don't know your story, take us right back to the start of your journey, what made you start your own business, and give us an overview of what your role looks like today at the Scalable Creative.
So yes, my background, I came from agency world. I went to university. I studied graphic communication. Found myself in agencies because that was typically the way that we got jobs as I guess as kind of designers, as creatives. Mm, Too many years ago now, probably a very different world now, where obviously being independent is a little bit more accepted. And back then, obviously, everyone loved the idea of having a university degree. It doesn't matter quite as much anymore. But I started my started my career working in creative agencies, designing websites, building elements, and I learnt to code in one of my first jobs. Kind of thrown in at the deep end with it. I wouldn't call myself an a developer, so to speak. But I learned the kind of basics of it, like how to do things. And then I moved between agencies. I worked with agencies in London, in Cornwall, and in Cardiff, different places. And then I got to a point where I wanted to build something for myself. And I think that, that's a very natural thing for a lot of people to feel. And I went freelance, started working with my own customers. Everything snowballed, and and then I ended up building an agency. And the agency that I initially built was probably a kind of what I would call a full service agency. I had the ability to do anything. I was a jack of all trades, I guess, or like that's how you tend to feel when you first start out on your own. But I eventually brought in a co-founder into that business. We changed the brand, we changed the name, we turned it into something that was a bit more niche, focused into where we felt like we provided far more value with our backgrounds, and that was in complex software design, specifically designing user experience and interface, and lots of different kind of complex workflows for bigger businesses. Uh, we had a incredible team. Eventually, we built a team of up to, I think it was about 13, which was the kind of the top end of where we got to. And we were working with some of the biggest clients in the world, really. We were working globally. Most of them were regulated markets. So, you know, they all had their rules and regulations that they had to deal with, but they also had a lot of operational problems. They typically were service providers, so they would provide services to their customers. A lot they had, most of them had, hundreds of thousands of customers all across the world. So a lot of different complex dynamics that we had to work with. And my role really was as a, I guess as, I mean, it sounds really like, sounds horrible to say, but it was, I guess it was kind of as a design leadership role. I was the founder of the business, but I was still quite heavily involved with workshops, facilitating, ideation sessions, problem solving, and my job really was to come in at the start of a project where we needed to identify the key problems that needed to be solved, like where the bottlenecks were, how would we actually do this, how would we improve the digital environment or the ecosystem that sits around a business. And we were really fortunate, really, as a business to kind of get ushered into the AI world really early on. So we're talking maybe like 10 years ago now. We were designing for AI, and this is, long before obviously things like ChatGPT released and it kind of hit the mass market. But that really kind of set me up to be able to, I guess, really help people in this time, or like, to find how my previous experience could be, you know, kind of, deployed out to people so that they could understand things and they could move faster. And that was always my role. And I guess as any innovation, or like, someone who works in creative or innovation or product or anything like that, you want to be able to move quickly. And I was in an environment where big businesses don't move quickly. They have a lot of hoops to jump through. They have so many decisions to make, so many more risks to deal with. And I kind of got to that point where I felt like my position, or like my expertise, could be better served for people who really wanted to be agile and use AI as as a real leverage point for what they do, especially if they were expertise based, if they were experienced and they'd spent years getting good at something. Um, and interestingly, all of this happened at the same time as the personal brand boom. And so
Mm.
when I kind of I got to the point, I think, where I had the opportunity to exit my agency, and kind of sell my shares and move on, through like an acquisition that happened. And I took it, and we took it, and we did it. Me and my co-founder still runs that business. But it gave me the chance to step away and try and do something that kind of felt a little bit more valuable to more people. I'd always been really interested in business models, how they work, and I spent quite a lot of my time researching and studying buying behavior around AI and how it was changing how people purchase services, because that's where I came from. And
Mm.
I think that for me, I I always loved the idea of trying to create something special for yourself. And personally, in my opinion, I don't think there's anything more special you can create than a business that works for your life, where you feel really proud of what you've created, and your customers really appreciate the expertise that you have. So
Mm.
that kind of led me here. It led me to where I am now. Yeah, like a good 13 odd years, I was running that business. And yeah, so now I managed to have a bit of time out, and kind of recenter how I wanted to do things, and try and find where my value really sits within this world.
Mm.
And yeah, so that's kind of led me into the scalable creative. And
Mm.
yeah, and my goal is to build scalable businesses for solo entrepreneurs who want to leverage AI and do it in a way where they are building it around the life that they want.
Mm. So going from obviously being, working in an agency to freelance to then having your own agency, that snowballed. But actually, your success in sort of the enterprise or the bigger companies, actually pointed out to you something that you actually wanted to work with people with a little bit less red tape and can move more freely, and where your expertise could be used more freely, I suppose. And that's obviously where it's brought you. Even though your success was in sort of the bigger businesses, the success of your business enabled you to actually sell your shares and then recenter to the Scalable Creative now. So could you just go into a little bit more detail of what the Scalable Creative does now? And I know obviously we know who they serve, sort of solopreneurs and small businesses, but exactly what does the Scalable Creative do?
So, I mean, the Scalable Creative a it's an applied AI build mentorship. So, I spent a long time trying to centralize all of my expertise and everything that I knew and build it in a way where, in essence, as many people as wanted could take advantage of it. Um, and what it is you basically it's I built tools. So obviously, become as a I mean, I spent quite a bit of my time between obviously selling my agency and doing what I do now, learning context engineering, AI engineering, all of the different elements that kind of came from it. I love it all. I do love it all. But I build tools. I would call them like accelerating tools, which allow people to become far more effective with AI than they would if they didn't have them, or they were just trying to learn it themselves by, YouTube videos and these sorts of things. So the first part of the Scalable Creative, the actual mentorship itself, is to remodel your business so that it works with AI. Because most people, what they do is, they will try and layer on. I mean, it's a natural tendency, I think, when something like this comes along, is to try and adopt it, and try and find the use cases for it on your business. And what happens is that they layer AI on top of something that can't really work with it very well. Most people sell their time, which is a big, like, that's one thing that I want people to be able to get away from, just through redesigning how their business works. And the first part is it's self-serve, so people can kind of do it at their own pace. But realistically, at maximum, it might take someone 10 weeks to do if they were working like 30 minutes a day on it. Um, or it could take 3 weeks if people wanted to like go hard, and really
Mm.
get stuck into it. But what that outputs is what I would deem as, what looks like a very kind of a very text heavy file. But what it is actually a codified version of the decision making process around your business, how it operates, who you serve, in incredible amount of detail. And that's the context engineering part that we need to be doing with AI before we really get into any kind of build. And that's all serviced through a tool that I built called Helix, powered by, the most powerful models on the market, from Claude and or Anthropic. And once people have done that, they have the ability to really build products from their expertise. They have the ability to build micro SaaS software, and the goal really is to expand how many revenue channels you can actually have in your business just through your expertise. And that's the reason why I work with a lot of consultants, coaches, and creators, is because it works very closely with personal brand, people that want to be solo entrepreneurs. And there are programs inside of it which take people through the product development process so that they can actually build and release their own software and products, and how to do that in a legitimate way rather than kind of just throwing stuff at a wall and hoping for it. Um, and building automation, improving how your business works so that it can, in essence, run without you. You would be shocked with how many businesses out there, or I should say, how many business owners out there can't really take a week off or 2 weeks off because the whole business stops. And that to me is a really broken environment to be working in. That's not really a business model. It's not really a business. It's kind of just a glorified job that you've then got. So yeah, my goal was to give all of the infrastructure and give all of the I guess the path to be able to redesign your business so that it could earn without you being in the room and earn without you being there. So that's what the 12 months is. Obviously, I've probably made it sound, I've made it sound simple, but obviously this is
Yeah.
it takes work. This sort of thing does take work, but I think that doing it on your own and doing it with guesswork is really hard. Whereas in the Scalable Creative, we have a community of people that are all doing it themselves. So
Hmm.
you kind of feel like you're part of a wider group of people that are all kind of aiming themselves towards the same goal of building businesses that one don't require them to trade their time for. Or if they do, then it's a much higher, much more premium service they offer, and to kind of build these different channels in which people can come to them. And I guess kind of the relationship between what I used to do and what I do now is my kind of, I guess, the at the absolute root of everything that I used to do was it was to add value to businesses, but obviously there's multipliers and all sorts of things that come with having digital aspects to your business. And I my job was to in essence conceptualize and build technology that would do that for the bigger companies that I worked with. But now I feel like the the real the advantage really lives with the small people, the smaller businesses, and especially the solo entrepreneurs. The next £1 million startup that appears unlikely to be a huge business because of the way that they work, in my opinion. I think it's going to be tools that have been built by people that solve real problems, and that's kind of, I guess, the core of what I'm about is building solutions for problems or building solutions for your customers that solve their problems. And it's that's what I've done my whole career really, but I wanted to do it in a way where the people that have the ability to move fast and be really disruptive and kind of fail but improve and go through that process with support from someone like myself. I just wanted to create that environment, and that's what it is really.
And do they pay like a subscription, like a monthly fee to be in the community, or is it like a one-off fee? And do you say it was like for 12 months, did you say?
Yeah, so the program is built for 12 months. Obviously, most of it, like what I guess what it is like it gives people the opportunity to be able to work on their business, which is really bloody hard to do when you're like, when you already run one. So it's kind of that environment that I wanted to give, but it's 12 months. It's a one-off fee for 12 months. You get access to every tool that I build. You get access to the program, the step-by-step process to how to do it. So you kind of never feel like you're lost. And you have access to the community. After the 12 months, the goal is obviously that you have sort of decentralized yourself from
Message on
your
WhatsApp from the group Thursday Night Footy.
sorry, my notifications are going off in my head, so it's that might that might come through. That's the football game I've got to play later. But yeah, the kind of the goal is to obviously get everyone to a point in 12 months where they are generating revenue without them having to actually be in the room for it, and to build it in a very strategic and step-by-step way that happens, because the goal is always to turn your business into something that can scale, something that can grow. And I want people, there's no reason why people who right now can only serve a handful of people every single week, that they can't be producing things that can serve thousands. And that is a much more, dare I say it, like sustainable way of being. AI can give you freedom if you design with it properly. And that's what I want people to feel, is like this feeling of not just, oh, I'm grinding myself into the ground working on this business. I want people to feel that freedom and that ability to actually, spend their time doing the things that they love, family time, you know, going down the pub, gym, whatever it is, whatever makes people feel
Yeah.
a little bit, feel balanced in their life. That's what that's what AI can really provide if you design with it properly in the business. And yeah, but it's a learning curve. So many people are still at the starting gates for all of this stuff. And yeah, my goal was just to try and build a way in which people could tangibly, I guess, kind of have that transformative process that didn't feel like they were just, you know, stabbing in the dark with it. Because, in
Mm.
3 years' time, might probably be in a very different situation. But if you have the business model that can work with it, then you can take advantage of that. If you don't have it, then you're continuously being disruptive. You're continuously living in that fear of, oh, am I going to be commoditized? Am I going to be replaced? And that's in my opinion, the biggest mistake that people make is that they think that it's they think that they think they need to fear AI, whereas in actual fact, if you design strategically with it and you remodel your business to work with it, you can, within 6 months of the program, most of the people that I work with are like they are, I would say that they are working in that top 1% of operators that are working with AI because of what they have built as a foundational layer in the business. So yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the people you're serving as well, like it's such a good niche to sort of serve solopreneurs, small businesses. Because like you said, I think that's where AI can have sort of the most impact, because like you say, solopreneurs or small businesses, they're spending so much time making the ends meet, running the whole business, whereas AI can just free them from that a little bit or a lot. Do you know what I mean? It's going to have such an impact as opposed to a bigger business where one, there's so much red tape which you've experienced before, so you can't move as fast. But also, it doesn't make as big a difference to the person at the top, for example, or the owner of the business, as opposed to when you're working with a solopreneur, a person that runs his business on its own or with this very small team. Being able to free them up is going to it has a massive impact. But also, they're the people who are not, maybe don't have the time to actually learn a lot about this. Do you know what I mean? They probably won't have the time to actually learn from scratch, like you said before, on YouTube and things like that. And actually, yeah, I think automation, especially, the agents and all these different types of things, they're all really good, but just automation that uses AI for businesses, I think has probably the most dramatic impact, because it's freeing your brain up from doing something that happens every day, every week, whatever it may be, and enables you to then either spend your time building the business up more or freeing your time to do other things, which you just said then.
Yeah, and you've experienced this, right? I mean, this is your wheelhouse, like the automation side of things is, I think that people have a there's a deception of how all of this stuff works that I think a lot of people don't understand. And the amount of like for a long time, everyone's been saying and kind of shouting about how much time can be saved, every single week, and then it goes all the way to the other end of the scale, which is like, running, being a fully automated business, which, I put like personally, like, I don't think that a lot of people want to have a fully automated business. I think that what they want to have is they want to have the ability to feel like they can be creatively free and they can feel more like they can be like, they can think more like they're the kind of those mundane tasks that you know better than anyone will, that can be really comfortably turned into a repeatable process is like that is a big part of obviously creating that time. Like, if you can create
Mm.
yourself more time by doing this stuff, then it you're just redirecting your time into something that's more valuable. And the hardest thing about running businesses is that your time gets sucked into things that isn't high value. And automation is an incredible tool that allows you to free up that time to increase the value of the business, be working with people, talking to real people, taking meetings, all of these things, the stuff that really requires a human, it can be that it can you can reprioritize. It's just yeah, incredible technology we have now, and I guess that would be my message to everyone is just how incredible this stuff really is. I don't think people probably don't see it. Like I imagine mine and yours, like algorithms, are probably showing us that all the time, but we don't. Like people don't
Mm-hmm.
have the same ones that we do. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like I think, but this is why I think that what you're doing, the podcast, everything is just really good because it gives people a different format to see real people that can can at least give them that nudge into like, oh, maybe this is worth me looking into because it could change my life. And that's why I like working with solo entrepreneurs is that yeah, it's they're the ones that get to experience the real power of all of this because yeah, it gives them the valuable time back that they can actually redirect into things that they care about. Not that they don't care about their business, but what I mean is that they get to balance their life. I mean, that's why you've seen this lifestyle business boom, right? Like everyone's talking about
Mm-hmm.
building lifestyle businesses, and truth is that you can go and take a LinkedIn course or LinkedIn content writing course or anything like that, but if the business model itself isn't optimized to be able to actually like connect, and it's not connected, then you're you're funneling the you're like adding fuel to a fire that is likely just going to cause you more stress in a different area because you've got too much of something.
Mm-hmm.
You have to overwork, and so it's this weird balance that we have to try and strike with things. But yeah, this the you do it if you do it right, then you're spending more time with your kids, spending more time with your wife, and just mentally mindset, you're in a better place if you can do this properly.
And it goes from like you can like AI can help people who are in the trades business, roofing, plumbing, all the way down to actual
Oh yeah,
agencies. Because even when you talk about people who are in trades and things like that, they have to write proposals and price up work and things like that. They don't enjoy doing that. Nobody enjoys writing out things like that that could be automated. They enjoy doing the work, I'm sure. Do you know what I mean? But all the admin that they have to do, especially for like a solo sort of like a roofing person or a plumber or things like that, there's so much admin that needs to be done that they're not actually getting paid for that. Does that make sense? They get paid for
yeah,
plumbing in, but that's something that has to be done also. So it goes all the way from there to people who are doing, audits for marketing, SEO, and all these types of things. And all of this can be solved mostly, do you know what I mean, with basic automation. Do you know what I mean? And with logic built into the automation, which that's why I think people are all talking about agents and all this different types of thing, which are great, I'm sure. But the majority of businesses
they need
will
it right
only
now.
need and yeah, they don't
Yeah,
actually need any of that. Do you know what I mean? They just need that type of work taken off their plate so they can focus on doing what they love doing and spending more time away from family, with family.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, that's it. And I think that that kind of trade person, like the person that it typically does like a very manual job that but also has this kind of very administrative heavy like these moments in the process that need to be done. It's like they might not want to build, they might not want to like learn how to do all this stuff. But for someone like yourself who is spending your time in this, your ability to build something that actually solves the problem for them is like that takes a problem away from them. And what we need to I mentioned earlier that obviously I spend a lot of time researching buying behaviors, and you know people buy solutions to problems they have, and that's one of the key things that we have to remember with everything, and that's become far more prevalent in terms of like now, and the buying behavior trends have all shown it is, you know, people trust people. They that's why personal brands are really big. It's like it's why
Mm,
everyone wants the audience, everyone wants the ability to kind of gain a following, but we have to solve real problems. Like it's you solve a problem for someone who has to do an administrative task every single week, and you build a small tool that solves them the problem. Like that
Mm-hmm.
that turns them into an audience for you. That turns them into like your fan base because you're providing them value. And might for them, them paying like whatever it would be, like 50 quid a week to not have that problem. They
Mm-hmm.
might be like, they might bite your hand off for that sort of thing, because they go, right, yeah, like that saves me a load of time, and my day rate, me working on the site, or me going and actually being on site and checking jobs, is more valuable than sitting in my office and having to do all of this stuff. Whereas if it can be if there can be a process that handles it for me, or a more efficient process where it gives me more time, it's to me, it's a no-brainer. Like it
Mm-hmm.
makes absolute sense. But some people want to know this stuff, some people don't. And I've like, especially for who I work with, for people that have like I guess expertise, or like they have knowledge expertise. So they typically would be a consultant, or a coach or something like that. Is like the I I think that they're the ones that are at risk the most, because obviously the way that AI works. But if you balance that with personal brand, and when technology advances happen, like they are now, we tend to crave in person. Same thing happened when social media came along. It's like this, like everything became online, but communities, like in-person communities and events, became really popular. And that's what's happening, in terms of the personal brand and the way that AI is working, is that we still want to have the expert. We still want to be connected to an expert that we can trust, and we know can deliver for us. But we don't if they have a solution which means that I can solve my problem without having to get on a call with
Mm-hmm.
them, they're happy with it. And the amount of money that people are spending, the amount of money that people are spending without sales calls now, without just because personal brand is attached to their business and all this kind of stuff. We're talking like, people are transferring £50,000 to join courses and different kind of mentorships without sales calls, because the brand itself, or the personality of the brand, is authentic. And they feel confident in joining that sort of thing. That person might not be on every single, like, Zoom meeting or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
but they feel like they trust that individual. They feel like they trust that person's voice. And I mean, you look at the kind of creator economy. It's all goes down that route. Like, you look at people like Daniel Priestley. He's got the Dent Accelerator. He's not, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't join many of those calls. Like, he's on, maybe one a month, or something like
Yeah.
that. But like, uh, very, very, like there's a lot of people that go through it, and it's not a cheap thing to do. And they do it because they trust the voice, and that's the pattern. It's the trend that happens. Technology disruption
Mm-hmm.
comes in, scares everyone, and everyone gravitates towards human. It's just
Mm-hmm.
but you get that balance right. You feel like everything that you put effort into, every piece of marketing, every piece of content you create, it it should have a design process that effort follows. Like, you create a video for LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever wherever you market your business. Like, there should be a tangible link between what, like your audience and the marketing you're providing, the effort you're putting in, and revenue in the business. And much easier to figure that out now compared to where it used to be.
Yeah. So Tom, I've got a last couple questions. It's just, where do you want to be in terms of business in the next 12 to 18 months?
So I'm initially, well, I'm actually kind of about to hard launch the mentorship, open the doors for people. I've been refining it over the past 12 months, working with people, just actually in person, working with people. I mean, that to me is the most kind of the easiest way for me to like validate that everything works and people actually get really, really good results from it. Um, but 18 months, I've got a challenge internally for myself where it's to get the business to £1 million worth of revenue in 24 months, technically. And for that £1 million turnover to be distributed into different revenue channels through tools, through products, through different things. So that's my goal. My goal for my members is to get them to the same in 12 months. So as I improve everything, as I build more infrastructure into everything that I do, I build tools that solve people's problems every single week and release them into the actual. I run it all via a circle community, so it's all done in there. But yeah, my goal is to get people to a much higher level of revenue than they are at now in a very sustainable way, which doesn't require their time to earn it all. Yeah, so I want the first £1 million turnover solo entrepreneur going through the program, and yeah, hopefully my business follows suit. I guess is has to be the way it works. Give the value and don't ex don't have immediate don't expect immediate change to what you do. You just got to keep churning, keep working, keep making sure that you're providing value to people, and then at least you know that you're doing something good, and it will at some point it will tick.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think giving getting the clients to that sort of level was only going to enable you to, become that level because more people are then going to be wanting to join, and it's like a snowball effect, isn't it?
That's the goal. Yeah, that's the goal of it. And I guess the other exciting thing to probably mention is in 2027, we're looking at putting on retreats for the members that join.
Mm.
They're slightly different. They are attached to uh, environments in the world that we see as being very what's the word? I guess inspirational. So mountains, safaris, uh, coastal retreats, things like that, where all of the members can come together. They can think freely. They can talk with other people. We do workshops. We do. That's our in-person side of things that obviously we want to be
Mm.
doing because most of what we do is obviously online. But yeah, the goal there is, and all of those are going to be attached to charities that are kind of very close to my heart at least. So animal welfare, environmental charities, things like that. Um, just so because I think that it's important. We do a lot of work, do a lot of work online. We very easy for us to forget about these environments that live outside of the four walls that we typically work in. So yeah, that's what I'm really looking forward to next year. That's the goal.
Hmm. Hmm. Tom, my last question is, if you could wave a magic wand and fix one thing in your business, what would it be?
I think in my business, if I could wave a magic wand, it would it would probably be more the perception of the people that I speak to. So like I want people to really understand just how valuable this can be, especially for kind of individuals that run businesses. And I want people to feel like, I want people to feel like AI is a superpower, like, and it's something that, if people looked at it like this is something that could change my life, it could give me more time to be doing things that I love and to make me feel like I have a balance in my life. I mean, I'm not saying that work-life balance is a real thing, but it gives people the ability to design their business around their life that they want rather than be something that kind of controls them. And you know, I wish I had a magic wand which could make people feel it before they started. You know, that's what I would love. And but truthfully, it's not the case. You have to put in some hard work to get to it. So yeah, yeah, and that's yeah. I mean, I'd love that. I'd love to be able to have that.
Well, Tom, thank you so much for coming on. I've loved this podcast, learning about you, the Scalable Creative, and your goals and where you want to take it to. Where can my viewers and listeners reach out to you if they're wanting to join the Scalable Creative, or if they're wanting to talk about collaboration or anything like that?
Uh, I'm big on LinkedIn, so yeah, Thomas.Gamblin on LinkedIn. You'll have my little face will pop up if you search my name. Um, People can reach me there, connect with me. The website is www.thescalablecreative.com. You can find out more about what's going on there. If people want to join the free community and get access to some of the free tools that I create, then they are more than welcome to do that, and they can find that on my LinkedIn page. It's featured at the top. And yeah, and if they come in, they can map their entire business against a optimal AI business model and see what's missing in their current business and what they need to do to kind of scale the revenue and balance their time.
Thank you again so much, Tom. And yeah, please, everybody that's watching and listening, please like, comment, subscribe, send to a friend, and we'll see you next time.
Nice
Thanks,
one.
Tom.
Cheers, Stefan.